Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to madam. Today me and my partner, one known Maisarah BINTI, one AZELAND SHAH, will be presenting and be talking about the things that we get from the task given before. The first news is the BBC News. It's about the planning of how artificial intelligence will work in future. The information that I got from the video is right now the Google DeepMind is making research on creating an AI that predicts the weather more precisely, even more precise than what we have now. Like right now, if you are familiar with Apple products, they have an application called Weather where you can check the weather today, the estimated weather for tomorrow. It's basically about it talks about the weather data that they plan to create for us in future. So the first video is basically just talk about technologies that will be created for our future. Next, the second video is about Malaysia's Prime Minister. Is about Malaysia's Prime Minister's speech in convincing people to gather faith and stop Islamophobia. So he delivered Malaysia's national statement at the general debate of the United Nations General Assembly back in September. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said all nations must unite their faith in a common cause to promote understanding and goodwill among their people as the world is seeing an alarming trend of hatred and Islamophobia. It's basically him convincing people to stop Islamophobia because first it's for human rights, like unfair for us Muslims to get treated bad. While the third video is about an exhibition that was held in the National Art Gallery where it includes the Malay Korean culture. As we know, Korean culture is really popular in our country now, especially among teenagers. So the National Art Gallery was trying to attract the public by promoting the Malay Korean culture by making an exhibition in the National Art Gallery of Kuala Lumpur. I personally think that it was a great success because I've seen many people went there to visit the exhibition, and from the video itself, I think the art that have been presented to the public is so interesting. So what can I say from these three videos? I could say that all the videos are packed with information and it is successfully delivered as they use a language that could be easily understood. They didn't use slang or whatever language that is not suitable for news reporting. The information is being delivered clearly and orderly. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about phonemic analysis that I've been studying on. I will start with the vowels. So the most basic things that we need to know in learning phonetics is we have vowels and consonants and phonemes. Phonemes is the smallest unit of sound. In phonetics, vowels could be identified into two categories, which are tense and lax. Tense vowels are produced with more muscular tension and usually longer in duration compared to lax vowels that are produced with less muscular tension and shorter in duration. We have a tense front vowel and tense back vowel. The same with lax vowel. We also have the lax front vowel and the lax back vowel. So by just mentioning the tense and lax, we actually will get the idea of tense will be pronounced more stressed than the lax vowel, which sounds more relaxed, right? The example of front vowels that I got from the first video is the way we pronounce recent. The recent. As we can see here, the way we pronounce recent, our tongue is in a close mid-front position where the front of the tongue is quite close to high palate. Recent. As for the tense back vowels, the way we pronounce start. When we pronounce start, our tongue is in open back position where the tongue is positioned low and towards the back of the mouth. Next, we move to lax vowels. Lax front vowels can be seen by us pronouncing spans. The tongue is positioned in a mid to open and it articulates towards the front of the mouth. The tongue is not as close to the hard palate. Next is lax back vowels. When we pronounce but, The tongue is positioned in an open mid-high and it articulates towards the back of the mouth. So as for consonants, I divided it into three categories, which are stops, fricatives, and nasals. Stops are produced by completely stopping the airflow in the oral cavity for a fraction of a second. This happens when we pronounce, if you notice, whenever we pronounce president, concerned. It's where the initial sound of the word is a consonant. The P and the P and the K. The sound of P and K. This could be seen when we pronounce president, concerned. Next is fricatives. Fricatives are produced severely obstructing the airflow so as to cause friction. So this could be seen when we pronounce phobia. Phobia. It's like we are forcing air through a narrow constriction formed by bringing the bottom lip against the upper front teeth. Then next is nasals. We can see this when we pronounce manifested. The sound is voiced, bilabial, and nasal. So it is produced by closing the lips and allowing the vocal cords to vibrate. The manifested. Next is phonemic contrast. Phonemic contrast refers to a minimal phonetic difference, that is small differences in speech sounds that makes a difference in how the sound is perceived by the listeners, and also it could lead to different mental lexical and type entries for words. For example, the p and b and the k and g. Next, I'm going to talk about regional accents. So regional accents refers to the differences in pronunciation, intonation, and voice of language that occur in different geographical regions. These pronunciation differences usually result from changes of sounds that spread differently across the country. There are many factors that influence the development of regional accents, and one of them is the influence of different nationalities and language. So the BBC News typically aims to maintain a standardized form of English known as received pronunciation, RP, or BBC English. BBC English accent has a larger vowel inventory with more distinct vowel and consonant sound compared to Malaysian English, which has relative simple vowel and consonant system sounds. And that explains why Malaysian News and BBC News have a slight difference in terms of the way they deliver their speech. For example, BBC will stress more on the pronunciation of the word, for example, like program, and also, if like we Malay, we will just simply pronounce it as program and also. Now let's move to locals. In Malaysia, there is a variety of accents influenced by factors such as local dialects and cultural practices. Malaysia's broadcasts usually use standard English in presenting news so that it will be delivered smoothly to the local audience. In both news, it is clear that the reporter and the speaker hold no distinctive regional accent and used to the standard Malaysian English. Same goes to the second news, where the reporter and in the interviewee use standard Malaysian English in delivering news and speech. As for the speech patterns, BBC News often use RP in broadcasting as it aims to be widely understood and devoid of strong regional accent. However, variations in accents might exist among different reporters. This is because different reporters maybe is coming from different backgrounds. So that is why they have a different in the way they communicate with each other. But in the news, they use formal language and avoid slang, and they also maintain a professional tone throughout their reporting. Malaysian news broadcasts often reflect the diverse linguistic landscape of the country, incorporating multiple languages and accents due to Malaysia's multicultural society. However, the reporter and speaker use a standardized form of English in delivering news and speech. Through their speech, we could clearly hear the local linguistic nuance through each speaker. Like similar to BBC News and many international news broadcasts, Malaysian news also use a formal language focusing on clarity and objectivity.
Hi, I'm Maisarah, so I'm gonna continue with suprasegmental features. So there are three suprasemantic features that we covered. First of all is stress, second intonation, and third voice lengthening. So first of all, stress. Stress in a word refers to the emphasis or prominence placed on a particular syllable within a word. Stressed syllables are typically pronounced with more force, higher pitch, and longer duration compared to unstressed syllables. So this stress can affect the way a word is pronounced and can alter its meaning or function in a sentence. So for example, in BBC News, danger is pronounced as danger. Program is pronounced as program. Important is pronounced as important. Companies is pronounced as companies, and accurate is pronounced as accurate. So another example is from the local news, such as concern is pronounced as concerned, negative, negative, hatred, hatred, provocation, provocation, portrays, portrays. Okay, next is intonation. So intonation is the alteration of voice, pitch, or tone while speaking. Higher intonation is a way to excite the audience, while slowing and lowering the tone will either end a point or a speech. So intonation patterns can convey feelings and emotions, and also can convey different types of meanings such as questions, statements, commands, or sarcasm. In BBC News, the reporter uses a rising intonation from the beginning to highlight the smartness of artificial intelligence, which can forecast weather, and ends the speech with a lower intonation. So the low intonation is a natural way to let everyone know you are finished. On the other hand, in the first local news, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim maintains a high pitch in presenting his speech as to look confident and to highlight the importance of the issue discussed. Besides, in the second local news, the reporter only uses a medium pitch until the end, so there is no rhyme in her speech intonation. And lastly is voice lengthening. So voice lengthening refers to the elongation of sounds and syllables that is typically due to emphasis or emotional expression. It involves extending the duration of a sound beyond its typical length. So for example, in BBC News, the reporter said that we've spent a lot of time in recent months talking about artificial intelligence. He lengthens the word a lot, as in a lot to show it has been a current topic among people. Besides, in the local news featuring Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, he lengthened the vowel a in alarming to show the concern of this Islamophobia issue. Moreover, in the second local news, the interviewee mentioned that as Malaysians, we are no longer feeling unfamiliar with Korean products. She lengthened the word no to show that Korean is very well known among Malaysians. Okay, next let's move to accent and distribution. So accent is a distinctive way of pronouncing a language, especially one associated with a particular country or area. It is a distinct emphasis given to a syllable or word in speech by stress or pitch. So in BBC News is a British broadcasting news channel that provides current local news and affairs around the world and local. So the accent normally used in BBC News is received pronunciation, RP, or BBC English. BBC English is characterized by specific phonetic features such as non-rhoticity, where the R sound isn't pronounced after vowels in words. For example, offer is pronounced as offer, and greater is pronounced as greater. So there is silence R at the end. So the news anchor and Justin Rowlett, the one being interviewed, is using RP as their accent in their conversation as they are communicating with the public through the interview. So the interview is to make sure the information is successfully delivered to the public, and also notice that they are using just a simple vocabulary so that people can easy to understand And even if the people come from different backgrounds, the message still can be conveyed and understand. On the other hand, local news applied Malaysian English in delivering the news. So in the first video featuring Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim, he convinced people to unite all faiths to promote understanding and stop Islamophobia. So he is using a standard English accent too. This is because he would like to call everyone, including the international audiences, which makes it different from the second local news, which only targets people in Malaysia. So the accent used in the second news is Malay English accent. Malaysian English is actually often reflects a mix of British English phonetics with influences from various local languages. So there isn't a specific phonetic system for Malaysian English, but it typically includes variations in vowel sounds, syllable stress, and intonation patterns that differ from standard British English due to the influence of Malay, Chinese, Tamil, and other languages spoken in Malaysia. So some distinct features include the pronunciation of certain vowels and the rhythm of speech influenced by the cadence of local languages. For example, this can be seen when the one being interviewed pronounced Korean as Korean instead of Korean. This happens because English is typically spoken as a second language in Malaysia, so there will be a slight difference in terms of pronunciation and intonation of certain words. So, in conclusion, both of the news have their own target audience, and it is good that both parties are using a great strategy by not using such difficult language. And by using the language that the majority of people understand, the information will surely be delivered smoothly and easier to get others' attention on the issue. So that is all about our analysis on these three news. 1 BBC News and 2 local news. So that's all from us. Thank you.